In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up your email account with Microsoft Outlook. If you use Windows Live Mail, I suggest seeing the tutorial setting up Windows Live Mail, as the settings are ever so slightly different. So in Outlook, this will work on the majority of versions of Outlook. So what you want to do first is go up to the Tools menu and click on Tools, and then scroll down to Account Settings. So we'll click on that. As you can see, I've already got one set up here, but I'm going to set up a new one. If you have several email addresses that you want to pick up from the same Outlook, then you can actually set them up here, but you do need to make sure they're labeled differently. So what I'll do is I'm going to click on New, and it's asking me what type of account or email service I have. So it will not always be a POP3 account. So we'll just click on Next. Okay, when you get to this section here, you actually want to ignore this. What you want to do is click on Manually Configure Server Settings or Additional Server Types. This will then grey out the boxes above. If you fill out this information here, it will automatically try to pick up the settings for you, but unfortunately that doesn't work unless you're using an Exchange server. So once we've done that, we'll click on Next, and again it's going to ask you what type of connection you have. So it will be Internet Email, connect to your POP, IMAP or HTTP server, and that's to send and receive emails. So as long as that's ticked, we'll click on Next. Okay, so this is where you put in all your information. Now this needs to be correct, otherwise when you send emails out, our server won't be able to recognize it and verify it's from you and not spam or some kind of email hacker. So what you need to do is put your name. This can be ever so slightly different, so don't worry about this. This will show up when you send an email in the inbox of the person receiving it. It will come up saying this is who the email is from. Okay, so what we'll do here is put in the name of our test subject and the email address. Now this is vital that you actually fill this out correctly, because if you don't, then again the server won't be able to verify it and therefore won't be able to send your email out. So this email for the test one is jamie@stuart-design.co.uk, and the account type, you've got several here, but it will always be POP3. The incoming mail server, this is completely unique to you. So this will be, the start part will be mail dot. Oh, and I've spelled that wrong, so mail dot. Okay, I'll just pull up a text document to show you what I mean. Mail dot will be at the start of all email servers. So let's say for Stuart Design, it's stuart-design.co.uk. Okay, if your website is something like perfectbusiness.com, then your email server will be mail dot, that's the vital part, make sure there is always a mail dot, and then your domain name. So no matter what your domain name, that will come next. So I'll put in perfectbusiness.com. So again, just to make sure, the mail dot is always at the front. By the way, there are no spaces, and then your domain name, and you don't put in the www dot, that's not needed. So you just need to make sure you have your domain name and mail dot at the start. Okay, so I'll just get rid of that. So it'd be mail dot stuart-design.co.uk. The outgoing mail server is exactly the same as the incoming mail server. So what we'll do is we'll just put that in again. Okay. So once you've got those in there, then you just go on to login information. The username is always your actual email address that you're trying to connect to. So for instance, this one will be jamie@stuart-design.co.uk. If you're setting up several email addresses, then the username will be exactly the same as the email address you're setting up. So let's say you were setting up sales@stuart-design. This will say, this would be sales, and then down here you would have exactly the same again, sales@stuart-design.co.uk. So you need to make sure again that the email address is the correct one you're trying to connect to. But for this test, I'm just going to log on to Jamie, and then you put your password in. Okay. Once you've got those inputted, you don't need to tick require logon using secure password authentication, so you leave that unticked. Once you've got that information in, you then go to more settings. Don't try and use the test account settings because that doesn't work. So we'll click on more settings. So in here it will tell you the mail account name. This is purely just for your reference within Outlook. So you can change this to whatever you like, but as long as you realise that that is purely only on your computer. So in here we'll type in the organisation or the company. The reply email address is almost always the same as the one you're sending from. So this will be jamie@stuart-design.co.uk. Once you've completed that, if you click on outgoing server, the tab up the top here, and what you want to make sure is that this my outgoing server SMTP requires authentication, you want to make sure that is ticked. And then if you just make sure use same settings as my incoming mail server is highlighted as well. So once you've done that, the connection will always be automatic. And the next important one is the advanced tab. The top section here, server port numbers and server timeouts, these are standard, you don't need to change those. If you have a problem connecting to your email in terms of sending emails out, we may tell you a different outgoing server port number, but you don't need to worry about that. The important thing in the advanced is that if you use webmail and Outlook, what happens when you do a send and receive from Outlook is it logs onto our server, picks up all the emails that are on the server for you, and then deletes them. So you only have a copy on your computer or whatever computer you're using for Microsoft Outlook. The best way to do this, if you're out and about and you want to be able to access your emails through the webmail system, then when you set this account up, you need to make sure you click on leave a copy of messages on the server. So this will give you a couple more options. You have remove from server after X amount of days. We always recommend leaving about 5 days worth just as a backup for whatever reason, or if you need to access them. So if you wanted a month's worth, you could change this to 31 days and it would leave any emails on the server for 31 days, and after 31 days it will take it off. If you'd like to leave them on permanently so you always have a full record of all your emails, just untick this and just make sure that the top one is ticked on its own. That way you'll always have copies of emails. So we'll just tick that, and also remove from server when deleted from deleted items. If you delete an email within Outlook and then empty the trash folder in Outlook, it will automatically delete them off the server as well. If you'd like that to happen, especially for things like spam or emails that you don't want, tick that. If you want to leave all your emails on there for 31 days, for instance, as we've got here, then just untick that. So I'm going to tick that just for now and click OK once that's completed. Then once you've done all those settings, click on next and then click on finish. And there you see jamie@stuart-design.co.uk. When I was talking about the reference for the mail account, that's what appears here. So once you've completed that, click close. And then if you do a send and receive, as you can hear from my email notification, the email has now arrived. So straight away we have the email which was sitting in that in the mail folder, which is obviously to jamie@stuartdesign.co.uk, and then there you have your email account in Outlook set up.